Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Theorist, here with your host, Vanity Pride. I do apologize for last week for bailing on you guys. I got sick, or it was pretty harsh allergies, so, I just was not feeling up to voicing anything. I probably should have put up some announcement, even if it was just like text, but again, apologies for that. I am back, though, and today I will make it up to you guys by doing a quick recap of 325, and then we'll jump into 326. But first, we're going to talk about Danganronpa. So, you know how the thing goes. If you guys don't care about it or don't want the spoilers, you are more than welcome to skip past this. So, I'll give you a second to do that. And for those of you sticking around, we'll jump right into it. So, I just got done watching an episode actually before this review. So I just got done watching Naegami complete that final death room. So this is already chapter 4 of Danganronpa 2. Anyway, I know the last time I had talked about Mikan potentially being a traitor, right? But she actually turned out to be the killer for trial number 3, which of course in that trial prior to that trial, she had killed Ibuki and Hiyoko, which I'm still suspicious that Hiyoko is like the next Junko. But yeah, I wasn't too far off with guessing that Mikan was going to betray somebody. So, she killed off Hiyoko, quote unquote, and of course Ibuki. So I like to say it was a close enough guess. But anyway, now I'm on Nekomaru having died. And so when Naegami went through this final death room, it was interesting because he got more information about the killing game that took place for class number 78. Of course, Makoto Naegi's class. You guys know how it goes. And so in this file, he saw that, all the different deaths that had taken place, like who died, who did it. And then in the case of that 4th trial, it turned out to be a suicide. So I had considered before that, maybe Nekomaru committed suicide, but I wasn't really sure because I'm like, if he made a pillar fall on himself, wouldn't he be under the pillar if that was the case? And then, taking his own body apart, I don't know how that would work either. There is a possibility. I just feel it would be too easy and, just too much of a mimicry of the first Danganronpa. And if anything, I feel like the only connecting point would be the fact that you could have used poison. So once you complete the final death room, you go into what's called the Octagon, and you can get weapons from there. And one of the weapons, of course, was poison. So I feel like that was probably the only drawing connection to Trial 4 back in the first Danganronpa game, but who really knows? I know I was suspecting Kazuichi Soda because, he's the mechanic. He could have broken the elevator. And then he's like, oh, well, let me fix it. I had suspicions of that. And then I was also leaning toward like Akane and Sonya, especially pre the death game, the final death game thing. Because when Naegami completed that death game, he was able to go into the grape area, right? Like he was in strawberry area. There was no way he could get to grape area without boarding the elevator, but suddenly he was there. So it's like, oh, okay, well, anyone from the strawberry side could have easily completed the death game and killed off Nekomaru. So now there are more suspects available, and I doubt it's going to be Fuyuhiko. I'm kind of scared, but it can't be my baby. I'm still betting it's going to be Kazuichi then. But I had thought about Akane too because, it's like, oh, well, you least expect her to be the killer because she had such respect for Nekomaru. And, she was even mourning his death, but she was also hungry too. So it's like, okay, maybe she did it and, she's going to win or she feels she's going to win because people are going to be like, well, she can't have killed Nekomaru. Same with Sonya. I don't see Sonya killing people, but she was acting a little bit weird that morning before they discovered Nekomaru. She was like asking Hajime if she could take a bite out of his shoulder or something. And then, she thought Chiaki was some kind of pastry or dessert. So I thought that was a little bit weird too. She could have been driven to that insanity and killed off Nekomaru. I mean, who knows? Who knows? It's really still up in the air right now. But yeah, so right now it's really hard for me to predict anybody, but I think I'm going to stick to Kazuichi. I know he was getting rather hungry as well. So And maybe he'll try to pin the blame on Hajime because Nagito had gotten that idea into his head so much that Kazuichi, like, doesn't want to do any investigating with Hajime. He doesn't want to be, like, near Hajime at all. So, you know, he's like, oh, I can easily blame him, you know, and get away with it. But it's not going to happen. So if anything, we'll find out next week what I, you know, find out for this trial. So anyway, before we do jump into Tower of God, quick fic mention. I did complete my Naegami Oneshot Series. So you guys can go check out that kinky, smutty one-shot if you're interested. If not, it's totally cool. But yeah, just throwing that out there because I like to share my writings with the world. The link, of course, will be included in the video description. But anyway, to Tower of God. So we're taking a look at chapter 325 real quick. This is going to be a recap. They are on the 44th floor, of course, the last station, Evankel Part 3. And Misang, we're going to start off with her. So after she took out these purple brothers, she kind of worried me a bit with the look in her eye because she almost reminded me of Jean Grey from X-Men, you know, with like the whole, like, once the power gets to be too much, it kind of takes over her. And, you know, I don't think it's going to lead up to that point, but it was just that look in her eyes, like, freaked me out a little bit. But I feel it's just a new look in her eyes because she wasn't this strong before. Like, it took so much of her effort and her time and her really pushing herself to get to this point. And of course, you know, she wants to do anything to, you know, kind of make it up to the friends that she lost and was not able to protect. So, you know, I think I'm getting a little carried away with like, ooh, this freaky look in her eyes when, you know, it could really be just genuine, like, hell yeah, I want to do this so badly. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that. So any X-Men fans out there, I hope you enjoyed that little reference. Anyway, I also liked the Sharon-Evankel interaction. I thought it was awesome how Sharon could really pack in some punches, you know, frickin' destroying Evankel's weapon on top of all that. So it was just really cool to see Evankel, you know, even though she is quite the powerhouse, you know, she's not completely like undefeatable, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I like those realistic aspects that SIU throws into the story. It's like, oh, well, you know, she's going around, you know, defeating several people, but Sharon is a tough opponent for her. So I thought that was really cool. And I know that SIU showcases that a little bit too with other characters in the next chapter, but we won't get ahead of ourselves just yet. But anyway, I thought it was interesting how Evankel, it just kind of fueled her more to trap Sharon in the grasp of her dragon fant, as Phenom Uprising is calling it. The whole dragon and elephant hybrid name for that creature in the foreground for Evankel. So yeah, like I said, you know, her weapon getting destroyed kind of fueled her to unleash even more power against Sharon. But Sharon, like I said, is a tough opponent, and she does come from the powerful Ari family. So, you know, she's able to handle it pretty well. But I also loved this image where Evankel vows to unleash a hell that the tower has yet to see. So, I mean, it's amazing. Like, both this chapter and then the following chapter, I know Dr. Bonehead mentioned this in his live reaction for 326. You know, just like the panel, like the artwork of the panels are incredible. Like, especially Hansung next chapter. Like, I'm just like in love with Hansung. Not gonna lie. He is best boy for sure. Evankel's gotta be best girl. Let's be real. For this chapter, hell yeah. All right. So speaking of Evankel and Hansung, I also really liked their flashback. It's interesting how it came to mind for Evankel, like after El Pantheon used that Wall of Despair move on her. And when I read the phrase Wall of Despair, not gonna lie, I thought of Danganronpa. Duh. The whole hope versus despair thing, right? So anyway, I thought it was really cool to see a little bit of the history between Evankel and Hansung, because Evankel was vowing to kill Hansung. But before she would do that, she asked Hansung, oh, hey, what's your fear? You know, she always like seemed to ask her victims that before she killed them off. And Hansung talked about like, oh, well, you know, I'm not afraid of like death because I'm immortal, and it's not even, you know, there's no fears within that either. The fear really is getting your power taken away, is what Hansung said to Evankel. And Evankel found a connect in that because that was also her fear. And so I feel like that's what caused her to spare Hansung. So I thought that was really cool to see, you know, how they, I guess, came to know each other, or I don't know if they had some kind of difficulty with each other, and that's what led to this fight that they were having. But yeah. It's actually, I'm not doing it enough justice, so I'm going to go ahead and read it real quick. So starting with Evankel, what are you afraid of? You're not afraid of death, so I want to know what scares you. And Hansung's like, unlike the other rankers, I've never imagined that I would live forever. So I'm not scared of dying, but someone I met before once told me they're more afraid of their rage fading than dying. I think I'm the same way. What I fear more than death is the emotions I have fading away. This thirst for change, this firm belief that I will change the tower. This desire to achieve my dreams without relying on power. It scares me to think of all that disappearing. You're afraid of losing your desires? So that's Evankel. It sounds strange, but for some reason, I think I'm a bit afraid of that too. So yeah, I thought it was really cool how they could connect on that point, and then, you know, she spared Hansung, and I'd like to see more of their history, I guess. I mean, there's like so much intriguing history for all these different characters, and especially characters like how they came to know each other and stuff. So, you know, there's got to be some kind of side story for that, I guess. I just don't want to put too much pressure and too much work on SIU, but I think it would be really cool to, you know, not just rely on flashbacks alone, but just, you know, get more of a full story of these backgrounds in some kind of side comic, or I don't know. And then to sum up chapter 325, it ends with the warships getting unleashed, as Soa said he was going to do. All right, so now we'll jump into 326. Of course, it's the 44th floor, the last station of Evankel Part 4. I do have to say, I love the contrast of Hansung and Evankel's techniques, because it's basically water versus fire. Of course, they're not fighting against each other, but I feel it's a really cool compliment to see that contrast. So, you know, of course, Hansung has the water, Evankel has the fire. And then I just have to read this line real quick because I thought it was adorable. I thought it was funny. And it reminded me of the Rugrats in Paris movie. I know that movie is like years old, guys. But I was just reminded of Angelica when she's defending her babies. So I'll go ahead and read the line that I'm talking about, and then I'll play a little bit of that Angelica clip for you too.
Off the gown! You revolting carpet mice!
Listen, lady. Nobody messes with my dumb babysit me.
And that was Angelica for you guys. I mean, you can see a little bit of comparison there between the two. So I thought it was a fun little thing to throw in. Fun little audio clip to throw into, you know, kind of break up the monotony of these reviews and, you know, throw in something fun. As I get redundant, as I always do. All right. And then I also found it hilarious when SIU, I mean, I'm scrolling through the panels right now. Just the artwork of the water techniques of Hansung's is incredible. It's truly beautiful. I love it. All right, here we go. This is the part that I wanted to reach. So Unisona is introduced. She is a C rank regular, and she's accompanied by these two other dudes, and they don't get any names. They don't get proper names. They're just called two others. And I was like, they're that insignificant that they don't get names. Like, that's kind of sad. It's kind of funny. And then when I was reading this chapter, there were several images of Xianhee where her left eye is closed, or her left eye is not included in the panel. Like, it's just like her right eye open to us, right? So that had me thinking, I'm like, okay, why does she have her left eye closed as of late? I mean, I've seen images of like that before, And then, of course, there were other chapters we've seen previous where we could see her with both her eyes open. But, now that she has her eyes closed, or her left eye closed so constantly, I'm like, okay, is she hiding something? Like, if we gaze into that eye, are we going to die? Are we going to get hypnotized? Like, what's up with that? Like, if that is a possibility, I would love to see that in action sometime soon. I think it would be awesome. All right, and then I know this doesn't really add much to the story, but I just have to read this Andrasi line because it was beautiful. I love it so much. Why don't you just shut up? I can smell your nasty breath from here. Take them out, Bomb. Sorry, my voice is like not the best right now. I'm still getting over being sick / this allergy nonsense, whatever it is. So, if I sounded nasally, don't mind me. Anyway, I just love her bossing Bomb around. I thought it was super funny. And then when I was watching Dr. Bonehead's live reaction earlier, I thought it was funny that one of the viewers was like, oh, hey, Bomb's like a Pokemon. So Andrasi's basically like, I choose you, Bomb. So I thought that was adorable. And then Bomb is forming that orb, right? And so everyone's just blown away that he's doing this. And on top of that, the orb produces quite some damage. And I thought it was really cool. It was very brief, but it was still cool nonetheless that Bomb earned himself some praise from Hansung. And of course, the interaction, like I said, doesn't last long because Evankel, in the words of Berlizzi, be catching bodies. So again, just incredible what these panels look like. Just the whole details to make it look like a realistic fire. It's crazy. And Evankel's just, blazing away over here with her techniques, trying to take out all these like Sahar's army peeps. All right. And then eventually we do go back to Hwaryun, Kun, Rock, and Hockney. They're running off somewhere, but then they stop short by the window. And it's akin to how Bomb, Mising, and Andrasi did that a few chapters back. And of course, the view that they have to the outside is just like a bunch of flames everywhere. And of course, eyeing them from a hidden spot is Levi. So I'm just like, ooh, snap. Like, this is going to be an epic face-off. Like, especially, I was super excited for Hwaryun Levi. But then when I was watching Dr. Bonehead's live reaction earlier today, he had brought up the point again of Rock having the power of the Guardian because he was able to control rock, earth, ground, whatever you want to refer to it as. And so maybe seeing the flames outside, because it almost looks like, not that Rock is in a trance, but he's kind of going through something. Like you could see it in his eyes. And so either the flame is bringing out something out of him, or, it's like some flashback is kind of flashing through his mind. And so, I'm like, ooh, yeah, that would be like so awesome to see, right? Especially if he uses that power against Levi. And then it was really funny. I can't remember if Dr. Bonehead mentioned it or one of his viewers did, but someone had said something about, Rock could just use that fire to wake up Kun, right? To unfreeze him and stuff. And so I'm like, ooh, yeah, you got a point. Like, who needs the Yeon dude's fire when you have a freaking blaze right outside the window? But there's probably something to the Yeon fire, and more specifically that the wielder of that fire, that they need that specific thing to wake up Kun. It can't just be any flame, no matter how powerful it is, no matter that it is Evankel's. So, like I said, I doubt it would happen for them to wake up Kun with that fire, but who knows? Who knows? SIU likes to provide twists and turns, right? So shouldn't be anything surprising if that were to be the case. All right. And then to conclude the chapter, we of course have Jin-sung, who is stopping the incoming recruits that are coming to back up the rest of Zahar's men. And among them, of course, is Caliban. And I'm just like, hello, Caliban, like Levi who? And then it was really funny, too, because Caliban's face reminded me of somebody, and I couldn't think of who it was until I saw Dr. Bonehead earlier today, and he was like, oh my gosh, it looks like Erwin from Attack on Titan. And I'm like, dude, you're right. Like, switch out the hair, or like the hair color more precisely, and you have freaking Erwin. So I thought that was a really cool observation that he made. So yeah, I keep mentioning Dr. Bonehead. He is doing these live reactions to the chapters, so feel free to check those out now. Those are like really cool. And then yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for tuning in as always. I know this review was kind of all over the place. And you know, my voice isn't 100%, but it was still fun to do this. I am going to go ahead and skip the blog notes for now since this did run a little bit longer than I expected, but I will see you guys next week. Hopefully I'll do a video next week. I just kind of toned it down and did audio again for this week, especially, you know, combining 2 chapters into one review. But yeah, so as always, I appreciate you guys. Please leave your comments and theories below, and I will catch you guys next time.